Hi everyone. So I decided it'd be a good idea to talk about perspective, and this month is particularly about observation, and I think it's something that you can start to notice when you're out and about or even inside the house. So what is perspective? In the simplest of terms, perspective is a way to create a realistic drawing on a 2D plane, which basically means your piece of paper, from a 3D world. So through the lens of your eye, it's how it captures the world, and you can also see this through photographs. The lens of the camera sees it in a similar way to the way your eye does. In order to make sense of this world, our brain just flattens it, and when it's flattened, you can actually see these merging lines, which we'll talk about in a bit. I thought what I would do is show you a cube and a cylinder and just show you how you can start to see perspective in action. So if you can see here, my eye is looking at the front of this cube, and I'm going to show you. So when you look at the front of this cube, you can only see one side of it if your eye is at the level of the cube, and if the cube is straight on at you, not rotated like this. So if this was a building, this would be you walking up to the front door, and there's the front door, and you can actually just see the front of the building. If you think that as you're walking around the corner to this building, you can see two sides of the building there, because if you were stood on this corner, then you'd be able to see both sides of the building. There are other sides to this, obviously. You're aware that this is a cube, and you don't just see both sides. So what happens is, if you were a bird looking down on the building, for example, if this was a building, because my eye level is above, then I can see the top, and I can also see two sides if I'm on this corner. It is possible that I could see the top and only see the front. It does depend exactly where your viewpoint is. I'm going to show you another viewpoint. So if we are underneath, then you can see the underside. And if you actually start to look, depending on how much this is angled, you'll see different amounts of this. I will show you this on a piece of paper, and it will all become much, much clearer. Finally, I want to come to this, and so this is a cylinder, and it works in the same way. If you look, and I'm looking at this here at the front, all we can see is the front of this, the curve. You can't see the top of it, you can't see the bottom of it, and that's because my eye level is looking directly in the middle of there. Now, if my eye level is above, I will be able to see the top, and if it's below, I will be able to see the bottom. Cylinders are very, very similar to squares. It just hasn't got as many sides. If we look here and see how when we angle this, you can see a little bit of that top. If it's angled more, you can see more. Now, I'm not going to go into this in huge detail. I just wanted you to really take on board just that there's only so many things that you need to think about in terms of perspective. One is that you have an eye level line. Sometimes it's called the horizon line, but I think that can be a little bit misleading, because always think about whereabouts you are compared to the object that you're drawing, and it will be a bit clearer. And on the line that goes across, you have vanishing points, and I'm going to show you them. One final thing I wanted to point out is, so in the same way as this gets closer to you, this angle goes down or it goes up depending on where your eye line is. So if your eye's in the centre there, this will go down at the top to a merged point. If it's a curve, look what happens. So there in the centre is the eye line, Yeah, so that's meant to be straight, but I think I didn't draw it very straight. I just want you to look at the curve. So the curve here, it depends on where your eye is as to how you see this. So even though if that was at eye level, it would be straight. Can you see that? If it's higher than your eye level, it curves, and it curves with up like that. Whereas if it's lower than your eye level, it curves down. Can you see? So we'll draw that as well. So if it's higher than your eye level, the angle is going up and then down. Yeah, can you see? The closest point it will merge and move away from, and it's exactly the same with this. And now we'll move on to actually doing some of this on paper so you can see. And I only want it to be a simple exercise. So I'll see you in a minute.